Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, the planned sale of Chase Field is not going as expected. Also tonight, another view on levels of chromium-6 in the Phoenix water supply. And we'll show you a door-to-door effort to get dropouts back in school. Those stories next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Arizona PBS, members of your PBS station. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. The Maricopa County Board of Supervisors today approved $4.5 million in legal fees to attorneys representing groups that sued Sheriff Joe Arpaio in a racial profiling case. The lawyers from the ACLU and the Mexican American Legal Defense and Education Fund were originally seeking $5.9 million from the county. The attorneys say most of the fees were accrued during the past 3 years as the plaintiffs successfully tried to hold Arpaio and his top aides in contempt for ignoring court orders in the case. An effort by the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors to sell Chase Field not quite going as anticipated. Here with an update is Arizona Republic reporter Rebecca Sanders, who has been following this particular story, and it is quite a story. Good to see you again.
Thanks for having me.
All right, there's a problem with the county sale of Chase Field, or is it a hitch in the get along? What's going on here?
I would say that basically they were hoping that talks with the team and the investors would be happening more quickly, and they just haven't gotten to that point yet. So we're a month out from when the county supervisors basically said, we have this great new idea, and we're still waiting for some measurable progress.
Okay, so no meeting as yet with this out-of-state buyer group.
Correct.
Do we know who the out-of-state buyer group is?
So we don't know the specific identities of perhaps a variety of investors who might be putting in money here. What we know is there are two groups. Stadium Partners LLC or something like that, and then Integral Group that are being led by a guy who's the chairman of Freddie Mac, who is leading Integral Group out of Atlanta, another woman who's leading the Stadium Partners Group out of Toronto, and then they're being advised by a high-powered attorney in sports stadium deals. But we don't yet know much about them. For instance, how much money do they have at their disposal, or who exactly from other states or from Arizona might be involved.
I was going to say, do we know if the team is part of this big conglomerate?
The team, the agreement with the county from these investor groups says specifically we have no relation to anybody who has an interest in the team.
Okay, but these investor groups, it sounds as though, correct me if I'm wrong, they are talking to the team but not the county?
So I'll take you back.
Okay.
About a month ago, the Board of Supervisors at the county said, we've got an idea to solve a dispute that we have with the team over who's responsible for, it's almost $200 million in repairs that the team says need to be done. The county has said, we don't think it's really that much, and also we don't think we're responsible for all of them. Suite upgrades, painting, things like that. The county says, we're just responsible for the big ticket items. But they've come to loggerheads. So now this idea is, well, what if we sell the stadium and the land to private investors who can take this on, pay those repair expenses, but also they're in the business of real estate development. They could build shops and restaurants and other things outside the stadium and perhaps even inside to make a return on their money.
So, and again, the county gets that off the books, bye to that.
Right, the county would sell the stadium for what they're saying is a minimum of $60 million, and then they have this headache that's gone. So these investors have talked at length with the county, but what they need to do now is to get the buy-in from the team. Because the county, the team basically has a veto power here.
Oh, interesting.
And so if the team isn't satisfied that the investors are going to make a good enough investment in this stadium, that the team will feel comfortable playing there through the end of their contract, then the deal wouldn't work.
Now, real quickly, this investor group, were some of these folks involved with a failed attempt to build a stadium for the Oakland Raiders?
So this is interesting. We're trying to do some backgrounding on these investors and what's their track record. with these kind of deals, and it appears that the Integral Group, this group of investors out of Atlanta, made a play to build a new stadium for the Oakland Raiders. And they did it with a couple of former sports stars, and we're talking with the city from the spring until even a few months ago, but it doesn't appear like that is moving forward, at least according to the press out of Oakland. So does that signal that they have trouble, or raising money or something, or just that they couldn't get that deal together, but they can get this one together because it's different?
It seems like that $60 million asking price still causes folks to ask questions and raise eyebrows or such. Is there a property appraisal either happening, going to happen, or already occurred?
Right, so when the county put forward this proposal and said, our minimum asking price is $60 million, and this appeared to be basically mutually agreed upon between the investors and the county. This would be the floor. Some critics said, well, the county put in somewhere around $250 million to build this thing back in '98. Why are we getting such a small return? County officials will say, well, the repair costs are a big weight on this, depreciation, and other issues. So to solve this dispute, the county is hoping to hire a well-known real estate firm to do an appraisal on the property. And they promise that if the appraisal comes back saying, no, this is worth $200 million or something, that the fair market value would be all that they would accept. They wouldn't go any lower.
Interesting. I thought it was interesting as well in your story that they did kind of poke around at selling this thing 6 years ago.
Yeah, so in 2010, there was still this question of the team wanting a lower rent and repair costs, and the county was looking at how can we solve this. So they thought about selling the stadium to the team. They did an appraisal, but it was only a draft appraisal, and it basically came to the conclusion this doesn't make economic sense because of the property taxes.
Yes.
And so they'd have to do some maneuvers to get around that. And the question today is, will those property taxes be another sticking point?
Indeed. I mean, because I would imagine the county has no intentions of waiving a property tax here.
That's what we've heard from the county spokesman. At the announcement of this idea, the county supervisors seem to leave some room that there might be talks about it, but you can imagine that there might be some outcry from the public if there is a subsidy going to these private developers.
So, bottom line, and boy, the story just goes on forever, doesn't it? I mean, it's just a bottomless well here. Where do we stand right now on the sale of the home of the Diamondbacks?
I would say right now we're in a holding pattern. The investors say we're analyzing the stadium, seeing what we think needs to be repaired, and gaming out all those costs and revenues over time. And we hope to sit down with the Diamondbacks soon. I don't believe that the Diamondbacks are, leaping for joy at this idea. So the investors will have to offer something to get the team on board and just dispel some of that skepticism, both from the team, I think, and also from the public.
I was going to say, the team has got a choice here. Either you got these investor groups that say that they will do X, Y, and Z and maybe put in a restaurant or two in the process, or you say no, and it's you and the county at loggerheads again. I mean, I would think that you would...
potential litigation.
No, this seems like the whole thing is headed for some sort of court action.
Well, the team has said they are willing to bring a lawsuit, but they have not yet, and I think it would be costly and take a lot of time for both sides. But it's all a matter of juggling risk, right? If the team thinks that the lease and all of this is on their side, and that this deal with private investors is not in their long-term interest, perhaps they go that route. But perhaps after talking with the investors, they see this as being a better deal. We'll just have to wait and see.
Well, we know they can't move to Atlanta or Toronto. Those cities already have teams, so they're stuck there downtown for a while. Well, great reporting, good information. Good to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks.
Get the inside scoop on what's happening at Arizona PBS. Become an insider. You'll receive weekly updates on the most anticipated upcoming programs and events. Get the insider delivered to your email inbox. Visit azpbs.org to sign up today.
Last night, we heard from the City of Phoenix Director and Assistant Director of Water Services on a report that showed high levels of a suspected cancer-causing agent in the city's water supply. Tonight, we hear more on the subject from Paul Westerhoff, Vice Dean for Research and Innovation at the ASU Ira A. Fulton Schools of Engineering. Welcome to Arizona Horizon.
Hi, thanks, Ted.
Good to have you here. All right, for those who didn't watch last night or are still not up to speed on this, what is chromium-6, which is what this report said that was found quite a bit in Phoenix water?
So I think, the most famous story about hexavalent chrome is the Erin Brockovich story in California and contamination by industrial sources of groundwater. I think kind of the untold story is that it's a chemical that really weathers from rocks and minerals across Arizona and the whole Southwest and really the whole country that can get into water and stay there for quite a long time.
And again, is this a man-made product? Is it a byproduct of chromium?
So it can be. So some of the sources can be industrial sources where they've done chrome plating, for example, and that leaks or spills into groundwater. But throughout most of Arizona, it's a naturally occurring element that's in the rocks and minerals, and as they weather and degrade, they'll release chromium.
And the health effects, are we sure about the health effects here? Because we've all seen Erin Brockovich. It sounds like stomach cancer is a possibility.
Sure, so there's all different forms of chromium. So you can have some forms of chromium that are actually in vitamin supplements that you take. But there's two different forms that are really important, chrome 3 and something called chrome 6. And this chrome 6 is an oxidized form of chromium that is more reactive with cellular material than the chromium you would have in a supplement or something.
And chrome 6 is the hexavalent chrome that you refer to.
That's the hexavalent chrome. Chrome
Okay.
6 and hexavalent chrome are really the same chemical names.
So we had the City of Phoenix folks in here last night, and they said the report is I believe the phrase was grossly misrepresented in the sense that they combine groundwater and surface water. And the groundwater, stop me if I say anything wrong here now, the groundwater has a lot more of the hexavalent, the chrome 6 in it than surface water. They use more surface water than groundwater. Thus, the report looks at an average, but what's coming out of your tap really isn't that average. It's far less because of the blend.
So what comes out of a tap in Phoenix might not be the same as what happens in some of the East Valley cities or further north, or as you go up and outside of Sedona, in that area where they don't have surface water to blend with. So throughout Arizona, you can be drinking 100% groundwater at some locations. So I think the City of Phoenix people were generally right for the City of Phoenix, but that behavior and the treatment of the water really varies city to city. And so there are many people, including private wells, that can drink 100% groundwater.
I would imagine some of the rural areas where it's all groundwater, you've got a pretty high concentration.
Potentially. So, it naturally weathers, and places that have put in, say, arsenic treatment systems to meet recent drinking water limits from the EPA could have hexavalent chrome co-occurring at the same time.
But what takes out the arsenic doesn't take out the chromium 6.
Unfortunately, the millions of dollars throughout the country, hundreds of millions of dollars that were put into arsenic treatment were really put in to remove just one thing, that is arsenic, and not hexavalent chrome.
So how do you get rid of hexavalent chrome?
So it's really tough. There's certain chemicals that are really persistent in water. Hexavalent chrome is one of these tough ones. The most common technology is called ion exchange, something different than what you would use to remove calcium or hardness. These remove the hexavalent chrome. You would need a different type of resin material to absorb it out of the water.
Now, is anything on the market right now as far as the big old, tube things or the thing under your sink or the little hand thing that you put under the faucet?
Sure. I mean, every, point-to-use device or pitchers or things under your sink will have different claims to them. The things that could remove, if you wanted to remove hexavalent chrome, the best would be this under the sink. Some of these reverse osmosis systems will remove hexavalent chrome. They tend to waste a lot of water, 70% or upwards more of the water that would go in would be wasted down the drain. The other systems that are filters or just advertised as water softeners really wouldn't remove hexavalent chrome. we're working with companies to develop new technologies at Arizona State University that can remove hexavalent chrome in these smaller devices.
So basically what you're saying is when these people say, you know, we get rid of chromium, that's nice. That's not hexavalent chromium. That's not chromium-6.
Yeah, there's these two forms of chromium, and the claims on a lot of these are usually to remove chromium. That doesn't remove hexavalent chrome necessarily.
Now, what you're developing at ASU, is this going to hit the market anytime soon? Will it ever hit the market?
So the technology is generally out there. It's really about demand. You know, these manufacturers who want to scale things up can functionalize or change the products just slightly so they enhance them to remove the hexavalent chrome. And we think we're working with one company that within 12 to 18 months would have material on the market that could remove hexavalent chrome.
12 to 8, and this would be again under the sink kind of thing?
Yeah, these are under the sink types of things. They're called point of use. They can be put into pitchers and, you know, the pouring pitcher types of devices, or in your refrigerator. So these are fairly low cost, things that you could buy at places like Home Depot or other water services for your home.
So, all right, is Phoenix drinking water, is the drinking water in the valley, is the drinking water in the state, is it safe?
So safe is always the toughest thing. You know, it's not safe to drive a car to work, right? So it's this big continuum. And I think everyone has to judge these risks for themselves. But, you know, whether it meets the existing regulations or whether it meets regulations that are just across the border in California, most of the water in the Phoenix metro area will meet even the drinking water limit of hexavalent chrome in California, which is much more stringent.
Should Phoenix residents, Valley residents, state residents use these water purifiers, whether they reverse osmosis or otherwise?
Personally, I don't think so. I don't. I measure these things all the time. I have a small system under my sink and really just removes the taste of the chlorine in the water. And that's good enough for me and my children and family. So I think all these are preferences. Some people have different preferences. I'd be aware that some of the things like reverse osmosis, while it removes hexavalent chrome, it can remove fluoride, things that you want in your water to protect your teeth and protect your children's teeth.
Interesting. The thing that you use under your sink, basically chlorine, what does it do? What does it remove?
So it removes, you know, chlorine, it would remove particles. So if there were particles of corrosion of copper, for example, that came off, or
Interesting.
the types of filters that they put into Flint, Michigan to control lead particles.
Yes.
So the types of things under my sink just, you know, make the water taste and smell good to me and my family.
And as far as municipalities are concerned, they see these reports, they understand the concern regarding chromium-6, hexavalent chrome, and they want to do something about it. Is that a heavy cost right now?
So it can be a large cost depending upon where, if there was a federal regulation where they put it. If they set it at what California is at about 10 parts per billion for hexavalent chrome, that might be this cost. But if you go to a different risk level, it could be 10 times that. So cities don't want to invest in these technologies until they understand the certainty of the regulations. They don't want to put in technology that costs way too much because that's going to affect your water bill.
And I would imagine if, you know, your team comes up with some sort of thing you can put under the sink that winds up doing a pretty good job of getting rid of Chrome-6, then the city probably would ease back a little bit.
No, because everybody is, you know, deservable of getting safe and clean
Yes.
water. It shouldn't be just if you can afford reverse osmosis or these other technologies. So most of the cities in Arizona are waiting to figure out what the federal regulation is going to be. The federal EPA did a monitoring program that ended a few years ago, and now they're doing a risk assessment and economic assessment to understand whether they should set a new regulation or not. California was ahead of that curve. They wanted to reduce the health risks down to this 10 part per billion level.
All right. Good information. Good to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Ted.
Tonight's edition of American Graduate looks at high school dropout rates and what the city of Phoenix is doing to lower those numbers. In 2012, Phoenix had the highest dropout rate in the country. Today, it sits around 20%, which is just off the national average of 18%. Producer Shauna Fisher and photographer Rob McJanet introduce us to the Graduation Highway program that's designed to get kids back on the path to success.
Our unit is about drawing with shapes and value.
This is more than just an art class for Magali Centelleon and her fellow students.
I also think
It's a second chance. 2 years ago, Magali dropped out of high school.
Make another little mark.
Her mother suggested she return, and just as Magali was about to start, she found herself facing a challenge.
At first, coming back, I got pregnant and I wanted to give up. I felt embarrassed. I didn't want to do anything. I'm like, maybe this isn't for me. It's not something I really wanted.
Magali knew it would be tough to finish high school while caring for her daughter, but she found support at the Linda Abril Academy. The school is geared towards helping students who may need a special schedule or a specialized learning environment.
So these are looking good.
The academy is just one of several ways Phoenix Union High School District is combating the dropout rate.
This is an A,
And it's working.
so that's what you're after.
District leaders say they have an 80% graduation rate, which is on par with the national average. The district also has outreach specialists that go door to door to talk to students who have dropped out and to encourage them to return. Today, the specialists are getting a helping hand from Mayor Greg Stanton and city leaders.
We as mayors know that if the high school dropout rate is too high, it really hurts us economically. We can't advance our goals economically if we don't improve our high school graduation rate and get those students on to college.
Eduardo, how you doing, my man?
Joining the mayor is former Phoenix Suns player Stephen Hunter.
I'll get your number and I'll stay in touch with you personally.
Hunter is now a community ambassador for the team.
And it was always accountability in my house. So you had to get your homework done before to earn the right to play basketball. There was always rules and regulations. So that really helped me in life.
After visiting several homes, the mayor and Hunter find a family they can help.
You go ahead and call him because he will not answer him.
Oh, okay. Punch in the number.
This man's youngest son dropped out of high school because he had to work.
Let's try it.
So the mayor and Hunter team up to convince him to try online schooling.
We got to get you back signed up so you can finish up high school, maybe even move on to higher education, community college, university, and move on with your life and career. But you got to finish up high school.
Really want you to get back in school, even if you just finish up high school, because I think right now is just a decision, a short-term decision, not to go to school. But in the long run, a high school diploma is really going to help you.
And while he may be mayor, Stanton says he can relate to the students.
I personally grew up in West Phoenix in a working class family. We didn't have a lot of money. My dad sold shoes at JCPenney. I was lucky to be born into a family where my parents stressed education. So the 4 Stanton kids were able to go on to college and graduate law school in my case and come back and be active in the community. But the reality is that my family, my upbringing was similar to so many kids all throughout the city of Phoenix. So I tell them, I was you. And the challenges you have and the decisions you're making were the exact same choices that I was faced with many years ago.
Students who drop out also cost the city. The mayor says as much as $7 billion every year. It also takes a monetary toll on the student. Studies show a student who doesn't have a high school diploma can earn up to $400,000 less during their lifetime as compared to high school graduates.
So let's fix that.
That number triples when compared to college graduates.
Let's start here.
The reasons most students drop out are not about academics, but circumstances. They either have to work to support their family or they don't have transportation.
Stephen Hunter, where are you? Stephen, thanks for being here.
Stephen Hunter says that's why events like this are so crucial.
I really wanted to relate to them, letting them know, hey, education is the foundation of it all. You need your high school degree, and don't let a small problem now or something temporary affect your future.
And it's a sentiment that Magali also echoes, that through determination, what was once a dream is now a bright and limitless future.
My motivation is my daughter to go back to school. My motivation is always going to be my daughter, and it makes me get emotional because I know I'm going to make people at home proud, especially my daughter, but it's something that's going to make me proud because I'm so insecure about myself. So when I know I can do something really good, it makes me feel really proud of myself.
Magali wants to attend community college and then a university to study child psychology. Stephen Hunter told us that he enjoyed school, and if he hadn't made it to the NBA, he would have loved to have been an FBI agent. Thursday on Arizona Horizon, hear from both sides on Proposition 206, which would increase the state's minimum wage. And we'll talk to Valley Chef Mark Tarbell about his new job as host of Check Please Arizona on Arizona PBS. That's on the next Arizona Horizon. That's it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you so much for joining us. You have a great evening.
Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Arizona PBS, members of your PBS station. Thank you.